Okay, guys. Hi, welcome. Happy Monday. Welcome to Team Boss Babes Team Call. So tonight we have a super special guest, but before we get there, it has been really fun having the coach spotlight at the beginning of each of the team call. I know many of you have said how much you've enjoyed it and liked hearing from others on the team who are having success and just what they're doing and what's working for them. So tonight I am going to have Alex share how she made April her best month ever in the business. So Alex has been on the team for 3 years now. And she is someone who I'm always like, how is she not a top coach? Like, she's just so amazing and beautiful and wonderful. And she had her best month ever. She helped 5 new coaches get started. She is literally like 1 inch from diamond, hit Success Club 24. Like, her energy and positivity is just like flowing through her veins and through her stories. Like, she's such a light on our team. So I wanted her to share with you guys what she's been doing and what brought her to have such a great month last month. So Alex, take it away.
Well, that was an incredible intro. Wasn't expecting it. I will not cry. All right. So I wrote down some pointers just so I wouldn't forget because I get scatterbrained, and I'll keep it really short and simple. But the first thing that I did for myself was to create boundaries. I didn't realize how much I was attached to my phone until I actually set time when I needed it. So, for example, I started reading and a girl messaged me. She's like, okay, can you tell me more about this? And I actually said no. I said, I am actually about to sit down to read for myself. I'm about 30 minutes out. Is that okay? Can I give you a message later? Because this is really important to me to set time for myself. And she said, oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that's amazing. So I think that was a really swift kick in the butt to remember, and to always remember for yourself that you are important and that you matter, and that others need to know that you will always be first in this business. And that was just a great reminder for myself. I believe also that the Ultimate Reset played a huge role in my success last month. At the end of March, Danny and I decided, and I think a few others maybe, decided to do the Ultimate Reset, and it completely changed the way that I thought about myself and just everything in general. And with the crisis, I don't know if it affected you at all, but I found that I was able to tap into my emotions, and it was just flowing out of my body, and I couldn't stop crying about everything because I was just so joyful and happy about life, and I couldn't have imagined quarantine being any different than right now in our life. And I allowed that to happen, and it was just an amazing feeling to project to project that upon others. The majority of my posts that I did in the month of April all ended with a call to action, and all of the call to actions were for coach posts, not for my groups, not for anything else, just for coaching. And that was a huge turn of events as well, just knowing that you needed to put yourself out, or that I needed to put myself out there to say, hey, I have more than just fitness. I have a group of ladies. There's freaking 42 of us here today, and I think that's so amazing. And I love that we're able to share this community with other women because we need it so much. Okay. And then my last one was my consistency in inviting in my stories. Like, I didn't go a day without sharing my 80-day obsession graphics with my call to action at the end, speaking with my mouth and not just typing out in the words, or sharing my coach story. I have shared my coach story so many times last month, and I didn't care. I wanted everybody to see that I was a real person and that I started somewhere. It may not be what their starting position was, but that I had a starting point and I was somewhere completely different. And had I not found coaching, my life would be a complete mess of everything. So those are just my quick tips for you and how I just went about my life.
You're amazing, and I love you. And can everybody put out some amazing vibes for Alex? She submitted her audition for Raiderettes yesterday, so just be putting the good vibes out in the universe that she makes it to the semifinals. She finds out in 2 weeks, so all the good vibes to you for that. You deserve it. and I will be the first person flying to Vegas to watch you dance. Okay, special guest tonight. This woman, Jenna Yee, she is a freaking firecracker. She is a teacher and a band director in Austin, Texas. She's also a member of the Austin, Texas Market Council. So that means she helps put on the Super Saturdays every quarter. Like wherever you live, you go to Super Saturdays, I guess Super Weekend. I'm always going to call it Super Saturday, whatever. You can't change the name 10 years later, right? Like Super Saturday. And so she puts those on. She is a 3-star diamond premier 2020 coach. She literally crushes Success Club. She actually beat me last month, if you can believe that, but I'm not mad about it. And she is like the busiest woman ever. She is a wife, a boy mom. She gets up every single day at 3 something to do her workout before school, doesn't miss a beat, doesn't make excuses, but something in her reignited after we left Summit last year in Indianapolis, and she just made things happen. They were nowhere near on track for hitting Premier, and she came home from Summit, which was like mid-July, hit SC60 that month, fired her team up so much that they were able to lock in Premier in 5 months to end the year. And they were not on track to hit that before she went to Summit. So I asked her to speak tonight. I had the pleasure of speaking on her call last night, and it was so much fun. So she's going to talk to us tonight about how she runs her business and what she has been doing since Summit. So Jenna, take it away.
Yay. Well, thanks, guys. It's an honor to be here. I know you guys know this, but you have a freaking awesome leader. So the fact that y'all get to learn from her every week is pretty amazing. I'm going to tell you my story actually in kind of the long way, because I know, or I'm assuming that I'm talking to a whole wide variety of coaches. So I'm sure I've got some of you that are new, some of you that are diamond, some of you are pushing for diamond. And I think that my journey through coaching has had many ups and downs. And I actually think that I hope you will be able to learn things. I'm similar to Danny in that I don't have an upline. So I've learned a lot of things a really unfortunate way that just like took too long. Pretty much everything that's gone well, I was like, wow, I wish I knew that 6 months ago, but I should have known. Like, I don't know. So also, yes, I am a teacher. So I have slides to keep me on track. And the slides are super ugly. But part of that is because, you know, at the end of the day, taking action is what matters the most, more so than, you know, everything being pretty all the time. And I'm going to show you that as part of the story in this too. So, I mean, we're kicking it old school here, but I promise there's point to all of this. Okay, so way back in the day, we're talking high school. So I danced for 13 years. I did field hockey, which I live in Texas, and this is not a sport here. So I don't know if any of you are on the East Coast, but this sport like doesn't exist in Texas. But I played field hockey through high school, and I was in band. My dad was a touring musician and a band director as well. So I was in a very musical family, really liked band, and did not like marching band, which is ironic because my husband is a high school band director. But like I was not really interested in the outside band thing, and I did sports and they conflicted, and I did dance and they conflicted. So I already had this pull, and I like literally had an identity crisis in like 9th grade, where I remember crying in my bedroom with my mom, saying I didn't know if I wanted to be known as a band kid. Which was terrible because my dad was a band director and a musician. But like, I didn't know if I wanted that identity because I really, really liked dance, and I really liked field hockey and track. And I had to quit dance and field hockey to be in marching band. I ultimately decided I was going to major in music. So I had to do marching band because like, it'd be kind of shitty to like not do high school like band all out and then major in it. So I ended up quitting dance, quitting field hockey. I stayed in track because that did not conflict. Hated marching band, loved sit down band, purposely picked my college because they didn't have marching band. And I actually wrecked my knee senior year of high school, and had a massive surgery that had me in a cast from my hip down to my ankle for about 4 months. Couldn't walk, had to swing my leg around, like it was terrible. So because that's how high school ended, and sports ended. And then I went into college for music, where I was trying to do a 4.5-year degree in 4 years. I went completely inactive. So I went from being very, very physically active to not at all. This is right after college. So just to give you guys visuals, if you're a visual learner. So this is right after college. My husband and I met when I got to college. So I was like, 18 at the time. He's 3 years older than me. He would sit behind me in band because we're super nerds, and he literally would kick my chair. And he was 3 years older than me, and I was a freshman in like the top group. So I was like freaked out, and this idiot is sitting behind me, kicking my chair and saying hi to me. I ended up marrying him, but it's fine. So, you know, our job is crazy. So I know you hear teacher, and you already know that teachers have busy schedules. When you are a band director, and when you are a band director in Texas, my typical day now, and it's looked like I've been teaching for 13 years. So like this is a typical day when we're not in a pandemic. I leave the house at 7 in the morning, and I get back at 7 at night. I have students in front of me from 7:45 to 5:15. I have 400 students in my band program and 3 teachers. So while I don't teach all 400, there is only 20 minutes from 7:30 to 5:15 in which we do not have kids. And this year we had lunch duty 3 of those 5 days during those 20 minutes. So like it's nonstop all day, and we have 2 kids. So backtracking here. So when we started teaching, like we were very busy. My husband graduated 2 years before me and moved to Texas, and we went to college in New York. And so we were long distance for 2 years, racked up all sorts of debt because it was like, we'll fly each other and see each other every month. It will be fine. Like, what idiot was I? Like, we were just like, and I think I was charged, I don't know, we were stupid. So we were charging flights, like flying back and forth to see each other for 2 years. Then we like moved in together, got our first dog within the first month. She broke her leg, charged all of the dog bills, got another dog. Like, we're morons. So like, we were not smart with our money, but we were like having the best time. Like, we had been in college, and then we were like roommates. We got engaged, got married. And I was inactive through all of this. So like not working out. I mean, I joined like a Pilates studio. I joined a gym. I got a personal trainer right before our wedding, but it's not clear that was a thing. I did all of the things, but at the end of the day, like work just got really busy. I was a little bit consistent with like group fitness. Probably right before I got pregnant with my first son. And then when I got pregnant, I was one of those people that was like really nervous that I was going to mess something up working out. So I stopped, and then I had him, and then we ran a little bit in between, but then I was like, we're going to have another kid. So why am I going to try? I'm just going to get pregnant again. And we did. So I had 2 kids pretty close together. That's them. That first picture is me, like, you know, that's a running picture with my first son. I don't know if any of you are runners, but the Bob stroller sucks so bad. The small one, like for the one kid, which that kid was gigantic, was like not particularly fun. But then when I got the double stroller, that sucked so bad. And we live in like the Texas hill country, so everything's hills. I ran a 5K for my school once with them, probably around the age in the double stroller. And I was about to like leave them and go get my car. It was like so bad. Yeah, so, you know, I did some running. Then I like Googled one time, like how many calories I was burning running, and it was like miserable the entire time. And I was like, well, that sucks. I barely burned off like that bowl of cereal I ate for breakfast. Like, that's not worth it. So, you know, I was just like, everything sucks. I can't do anything. I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, dang it. Hold on, you can't see that yet. Okay, so then my neighbor across the street was a Beachbody coach. I didn't want to work out at home because I had like gone on Pinterest and looked up like bicep workouts and like picked up a pair of like 3-pound dumbbells before I got in the shower and didn't get biceps. So I was like, well, home workouts don't work. Because I was literally looking at like a Pinterest graphic and wondering why nothing happened. So those didn't work. And then I was embarrassed to work out in front of Chris. Like, I had 2 kids very close together, like was not particularly confident in how I was feeling. Everything had moved, like everything is in a new place. I have a tattoo. I have a bunch of tattoos, but one of them, even my son when he was younger was like, you have music on your butt. It was like, yeah, it didn't used to be on my butt. Thanks. Like, I appreciate that. So just wasn't feeling overly confident. Saw my neighbor working out, but like I was one of those people that didn't want to ask her about it, and she never asked me about it. So this is like lesson number 1 on people that are creeping you and you don't know it. I went and bought Hammer and Chisel off eBay on DVD so that I could do it myself. And I did start working out at home, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of fun, and it's actually kind of working. And every once in a while, I even worked out in the living room where Chris might accidentally see. Then I did P90X3, also off of eBay and not through Lindsay. And that was fun too. And after a while, like my husband is always like one that pushes me and like in the greatest ways. Like I never mean it to sound like he's a punk because he's not, but, at one point, like after I'd done both programs, he was like, you know, you really seem to like this. I'm pretty sure they probably have like a nutrition plan that goes with it. And I was like, what? Like, that's not going to make that much of a difference. And I was like, I've had kids now. This is just like what I'm going to look like. And he was like, well, but you know what, maybe you should just try and see what the meal plan is, because they're probably like bundled together. And so at first I was like, okay, well, that means I'm allowed to try Shakeology. So that's cool. And then to like stick it to him, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do this all out. I'm going to buy it from Lindsay with Shakeology in the containers, and I am going to follow it to a T and prove it to him that it doesn't make that much of a difference. Except, as we all know, it did. And so I was like, damn it, he was right. So I did 21 Day Fix Extreme as my first official challenge pack, lost 9 pounds in 21 days, and was like, dang, well, that was pretty cool. And again, as a teacher and the schedule that I hold, Shakeology was a really, really great thing because I could have it while I was teaching. So I could like drink it and be yelling at kids. It was great. So I like Shakeology. We're both teachers, which means we don't like make a lot of money. So we have our 2 teacher salaries. Shakeology was like, that doesn't really fit in the budget, especially considering all that debt we had like racked up and weren't really doing anything other than carrying it with us. So I signed, but she had just come back from Summit in Nashville. So this was in 2016. And I watched her do that. And like that sports kid in the back of my mind watched her do that and was like, oh my God, that looks so fun. Like I could go with Lindsay on this little thing, work out, like go to some parties. That looks awesome. So I was like, all right, I'm going to sign up as a coach. I am going to earn my, like cover the cost of my Shakeology, because she had told me that 3 people, if I helped 3 people, that was going to cover the cost of my shakes. And guys, that's all it took. So that's another thing for you to take away from this is like literally I was coming in to make my Shakeology cheaper, but I knew that like just helping 3 people covered my shakes. And that actually was enough for me to like, I guess, consider like a hobby coach situation, because I was busy with school. Like there was no way I was going to coach. I didn't even know what that really was necessarily at the time. But I was going to help 3 people. I was going to earn my ticket to Summit because I was going to be a success. I knew just enough, but not enough. So I wanted to be a success starter and earn my ticket to Summit. Signed up, was like all pumped about it. Got, 22-minute hardcore was the one that I got with my coach sign up. And are you ready for this? Like y'all are going to feel real good about your posts because this was my coming out post. Yeah. That's it. That's a live action. Save it forever. Like share it with my coaches. Like it's got the fist bump. Now, granted, I will say just to give myself like 5% credit. Like at the time, graphics were a lot more of a thing. There were not stories. There was very much writing on posts was a thing. Like lots of words. So like this is real bad right now, but like it wasn't as bad. It was still bad, but like not as bad back then. But I was like, all right. I'm going to post this. I'm going to help 3 people. I'm going to cover my shakes. I'm going to go to Summit. It's like a year in advance. So that didn't happen because I just like posted and hoped people would come to me. So I signed up like at the last week of the month. So like I had, like my first real month was August. And I think I hit Success Club 2 or 4 that month. And so I literally missed that goal. Like, first of all, I didn't help 3 people. Second of all, I didn't hit Success Club. So I was not going to get the ticket to Summit. I was like, well, shit. Like this apparently is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. That's lame. And I was learning things mostly from back in the day, because I was added to Team Rockstar Fit at the time. And they did these trainings that were like levels, so like they have that Rock the Business now, but there were these different levels, and you would like, I'm kind of like Danny, like I'm motivated by earning things and recognition and moving to the next step. Like that's my jam. So the fact that I could like advance in levels, even though I wasn't doing shit, like I wasn't hitting Success Club, wasn't Emerald, like any of the things. I was moving up in the Rock the Business or whatever. I was pumped. But like that was what was driving me at the time. So I'm moving up through there. Now my mom signed up as a customer the first week of that very next month. So I would have hit Success Club if she had bought like 3 days earlier, but I didn't know what I was doing because I was just, I don't know what I was doing. I'm sure I had like a crying baby somewhere and was not fully paying attention. I'm sure y'all can relate. So, we go along here having a great time. So there's my mom. She lost 40 pounds. She literally to this day, 4 years later, still uses the 21 Day Fix DVDs like every day. I don't know why she's not bored. But she lost 40 pounds. So that was like probably the biggest accomplishment you could ever have as a coach, is knowing that you made your parent healthier. So I was really, really excited about that. Also, fun fact, was not Emerald until probably December, because I didn't understand that a coach of self was a thing. So I was looking for like business builder only like coaches. So my mom paid full price for Shakeology for like 2 years because I didn't know what I was doing. So yay for all the training we have now and all the stupid things that I've done. So you're welcome. So there's mom. She's a coach now. It worked out great. She's a coach in my second business center. So yay for that. Okay, so then I bought my ticket to Summit and went to Summit my first year. And I'll be honest, I went there and I was like, I am tough shit. I was Emerald and I was like, I have a job and I'm an Emerald coach. Watch out, I am awesome. And I'm walking around and like, that is a big deal. So like, I'm definitely not downplaying that Emerald is not a big deal, and it was, and I was so proud of it. And then I got there and actually it was Team Rockstar Fit Day. We were in New Orleans the first time and maybe only time. And we were in this really dark room where they had like a Team Rockstar Fit training, and I think it was Teresa Schrader who was doing a training on the compensation plan. And even though I had heard these things in Rock the Business, but I don't know, she said something, and I almost want to go find the notebooks to see what it was, where all of a sudden things started clicking. And I was like, well, first of all, I saw that the people that were on the stage talking and the people that were diamonds were like normal people and had jobs. And I was like, wait a second. I thought that that was like this like big pedestal thing, but they were normal people that were doing this. And I was like, well, shit, like I love recognition. I was not going to the diamond party that night because I was not a diamond. And I was like, oh, and then I started hearing about the compensation plan. My husband was not a coach. And I was like, oh, okay, so we need to fix some things. So after that summit, which I'm sure Danny doesn't know all this stuff. So like after this summit, so this is summit of 2017, I think, I came back and I was like, all right, now I know what I'm doing. Let's go. So we get back, you know, mid-July. I went diamond like in September, I think. Went 1 star in December. So like this, another precious graphic over here was when we were like ranked 126 in the company, having just been Emerald at Summit a couple of months before that. The picture in the middle, obviously that's the same before picture, but that was after 80-day obsession. And then I started having coaches that were like doing coach things, or at least they were community driven. So I had coaches that were, you know, engaged in challenge groups. I did have some that were hitting Success Club. I did obviously have some that were Emerald, and I had one that was Diamond, and she's been Diamond with me ever since. And like the picture over on the right was, I had coaches attending super weekends in other cities. So I was like, well, this is cool. Like, this is a big change from like, you know, being that coach with Emeralds and, you know, that being it. So that was a really big change from Summit 2017 to Summit 2018. Oh, I don't have it in here. God, good Lord. So I have a picture of Danny and I at Summit of 2018, because I think that's when I met her for the first time. Like, I had seen her in trainings and stuff, and thought she was a badass, and she was always at the top of the leaderboards and everything. And we were standing on stage for 1 star recognition, and y'all will know this because she's your coach. Danny like turned to like 3 of us and was like, all right, bitches, we're coming back next year, 5 star, or you're not allowed to come. And we were all like, yes. Yeah, well, as y'all know, that has not happened for either of us, but that's okay. So that next year it was like, yeah, we're going to be 5-star elite. The next year, like, went total fire, like left that summit feeling like so awesome. Because I was like, I was Emerald last year. Now I'm 1 star. Look at all I did. Like, I'm a jerk. But like, I don't know. This is just how I work. So then we get into 2018. My husband had been a middle school band director like me with similar hours in the same school district. And at the end of that school year, he switched to high school. And if middle school hours are crazy, high school is nuts, because they work the same hours, except they have marching band on top of it. And marching band, so basically they go on contract right after 4th of July. And they, during school, will rehearse until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, like at least 3 days a week. But that means he doesn't get home until 9 or 10. Friday nights they have football games, and we're in Texas, y'all. So like football games go till 2 in the morning. So he'll get home at 2 in the morning on Fridays, and then on Saturdays he's gone like at least throughout. They call it Bandtober. Again, we're nerds. They call it Bandtober because they're gone all weekend through all of October. Like they'll have a competition where they have to be at school at 5 in the morning and they get back at 2 in the morning the next day. And then they have to go to a critique session with judges on Sunday. Like he's gone like the whole month of October. And so this picture was in his office at some point during that marching season where like we didn't really know the extent of all of this. And I didn't necessarily know at the time, but our life was kind of getting like flipped upside down just because, you know, what we knew for like our family dynamic was changing. I had a very involved job. Our kids were young. My parents and his parents actually live here, and we could not do our job if they did not help, like with the extra time that we have with our school jobs. But I was definitely going through the motions. I mean, I've hit Success Club 10 for like 40 something months in a row. So I was still hitting Success Club 10. I was not bringing in coaches. Some of my working coaches were kind of like not really doing anything anymore. Like they were there, everybody was just there, but nobody was really driving after anything. And I think after I had that initial jolt from Emerald to 1-star, I think I thought that it would just continue on its own without me being the driving force behind this. And I know this is finally getting to like what Danny was getting after. But so I didn't really know at the time that I was in a lull when we were going through this, because I was spread thin. Also the girl that I work with, one of the other band directors, had a baby. So she was out on maternity leave. So I had this 400 kid band program with a teacher that's younger than me and basically our student teacher from the prior semester that we had be the maternity leave sub. So like it was a mess, but I didn't know it at the time. So I had gotten 1-star in like January. So I didn't get to go to New Leader Conference, which if New Leader Conference is not on your vision board, it absolutely needs to be, because it was so awesome. You need to be 1-star and have like, you basically will have the elite points, I would assume, if you're building to that level. But NLC is amazing. So I went there the next year. I'm sure you recognize like Mariah and stuff on here. And which, fun fact, Carl went to my small college in Ithaca, New York. We both went to Ithaca College, which is super weird because it's like 6,000 students, private school, very big business school, hence Carl. But so I went to New Leader Conference, and it was like a year removed from when I had rank advanced, and I literally had not rank advanced since. And so I felt that imposter syndrome that y'all hear about, I'm sure, where I was like, you know, it's a new leader conference and so many of these people have new fire lit under them when I've been stagnant for a year. And so while I had an amazing time there, I was like, well, shit, what if I peaked? Like, what if this is as high as you can go when you have a job and you have kids? Like, maybe there is a peak. Maybe I hit it. So I had a great time, and I kind of expected to come back and then there'd be a fire after that, but it still was like kind of coasting along because I wasn't inspiring coaches to like take massive action. I don't know, it wasn't necessarily that kick that I had hoped it would be. And I just remember feeling really weird at the time. So now we get to Summit this year. And I went and I was really excited because I did have, like I said, I had like a lot of super fans on my team. So like, even if they weren't like massive Success Club people, they were very present. And so there was a group of us that were going to Summit together. So I was very excited to have people that were from my own team going. And we did have an amazing time, had a great time. And I was at the Diamond Party for Team Rockstar Fit this year, and Tracy Granada, who's over on the right, she's also Team Rockstar Fit. She's one that's kind of taken me under her wing as like Star Diamond upline. And she and her husband and I were talking, and my Diamond had not qualified because she hadn't hit Success Club. So I was there by myself, and I was like, well, this is not exactly what I pictured. And so Tracy, being sweet, was like, so how's your elite report looking? And I was like, oh, it sucks. And she was like, what do you mean? Because I had tons of points the year before, had a great year. And she was like, what do you mean it sucks? And I was like, I have like 20 points, and this is in July. And for those of you that are familiar with the elite report, like you need to have 105 by the end of the year to go elite, which I thought I was going to do. And I'd like 20 in July, maybe. I might not even have been 20. I was like, it's not even close. And I've been 1-star for like a year and a half. I'm not rank advancing. I don't see any potential people like running towards Diamond. Like, I'm just like, it sucks. And she was like, well, is your husband Diamond? And I was like, no. And she was like, why? And I was like, because he doesn't count for elite points. And she was like, so? And I was like, well, if I'm going to give him Success Club points when I like being on leaderboards, which is stupid, but I get it. You know, but he's also not going to count for elite points if he hits Success Club. Like, it's just like throwing points away. Like, that sounds terrible. And she's like, okay, but you could end the year with a crappy elite report, but be 2-star and open a second business center and at least have advanced your business in that way. And I was like, that's true. And she's like, so either you end the year with a crappy elite report and still the same rank, or you can control your rank and build your husband to diamond and at least change one thing that you can change. And I was like, well, crap, that's true. So I left, and the girl in the second picture is my coach, Laura, who's been diamond for, 2 or whatever years now. And so during one of those diamond sessions at Summit, I pulled her in the hallway because the sound sucked in the room. And I was like, Laura, let's go chat. And because we were the only ones that were on the diamond track in our team. And so we just like sat in the hallway in this really bad spot where people were almost tripping over us and probably pissed. And I was like, okay, we need to do something, because this, like, the people that are on our team are awesome, but they're not being awesome. So obviously, like, I'm doing something wrong. What do we do to ignite the team, get people excited, and like show that we have what it takes to be one of these top teams? And again, like, we're 1-star. I'm hitting Success Club, but like no elite points. And ironically, during Summit, she did something weird in her count, and for the first time in like 2 years, she dropped diamond. So like, I woke up like at that Summit on Team Rockstar Fit Day, and I had dropped to whatever, diamond, I guess, for the first time. Like, I had never dropped rank, and I dropped it at that Summit. And I was like, oh God, this is not going how I planned at all. So we go, and we're like, all right, we're going to, talk to all of the coaches the night of closing ceremonies. We're going to get together, and we're going to ask them what their favorite parts of Summit were, and see what their takeaways are and what their goals are, and get the people that are here excited. And if they run with it, great, but we need to bring in new people to get them excited and, encourage the people that we have. But if they're not going to run, we'll move on. And we're like, all right, we can also create this like, group where people that are wanting to work the business can push each other, and we can do the tracker to set an example. And I was never using the tracker because I was hitting Success Club, and I was like, I do all of that stuff. I don't need to track it. Like, and I'm busy. I don't need to write it down. I don't need to track. And so we're like, all right, we had this dinner. It was great. Had a wonderful time. Went to closing ceremonies. We had a wonderful time. Saw some friends in the airport even on the way home, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go 2-star. Like, I'm going to build Chris to diamond. And it was like, they're like, oh, that's cool. And so I came back, and I was excited and going to start using the tracker. And I used the Beachbody one, the Success Club system tracker. And like I said, I thought I was doing all of the things until I started tracking it. It was like, oh, okay, so we have found the problem. I am really good about some things and really bad about other things. And one of them, quite honestly, was inviting. I was somebody that was kind of like bulk inviting some days, and like maybe at a certain time of the month, and then not doing it the rest of the month. But I think I thought I was. So I started like tallying what I was inviting every single day. And then I realized like I was never sharing food. And then I realized I was not always growing my network because I didn't need to at the time, because I had enough people. That sounds bad. Don't do that. But like I was not having an issue hitting Success Club. So whatever, I wasn't doing those things. So I started following the tracker to teach my coaches to follow the tracker, and then realized that there were problems in my business that I was missing. So then I got like OCD about the tracker and was like, okay. And so like I bound them for the rest of the year. I started consistently inviting 20 people every single day. And if we're honest, all of these people that had been watching me for a couple of years had probably just been sitting there waiting for an invite that never came. And that's why things ignited right after Summit, because I realized the stuff I was not doing, and I started doing it. And then all of a sudden, like I hit, it was SC60 in my account, but then I built my husband to diamond in a month. So I actually built him to diamond and hit SC60 in my account. And that was with the Morning Meltdown launch. So we got, the team builder, that first rung, probably like 2 months after Summit. And then, yeah, so that was like, yay guys, we're going to use the tracker, like sweet. And then I was like, oh crap, I should use the tracker. And so then we advanced 4 diamonds between summit and the end of the year. One of them was not mine, one was Laura's. So she went 1 star. And then Shannon was mine. I advanced my husband, and then I advanced my second CBC also in a month. And the cool thing with the second CBC was I did it like a program launch. So I knew I was not going to let the qualification fall. So I knew that I was holding 6 weeks qualification. So as soon as I went into quals, I knew what day that account was going to open. So I started like building up my, what did we call it? Team 2. We literally called it Team 2. And I started talking about how we were opening up a second team within our team and it was going to be awesome and blah, blah, blah. And I had that whole thing stacked up, and I had like 8 to 10 coaches on the day it opened. And then my mom was one of them, and I made her emerald, and I just needed the other emerald to pop, and I had the rest of the month to do that. So like I was able to then like start moving things quick. But because we had so little elite points, the elite points we had were from volume because my coaches were not hitting Success Club. And so we scraped by on that. Like it was like, I don't know, Danny, wasn't it like Christmas or New Year's Eve or something? Like we were down to the wire, desperately needing the last points to lock in Premier. Like we had the diamonds, we had everything, but I had maxed out my volume category. I had to have it come from Success Club. And so like the team started rallying right then. We hit it. Everybody was pumped. And then like in January and February, we were still going. I still didn't have a lot of people hitting Success Club. And I did share it on here. Okay, so this is a year apart. So this was April on the left, April of last year. And then on the right, this isn't even accurate. This was probably 2 weeks ago because I ended the month at 54. And I ended up having, I think, 10 coaches hit Success Club, which I usually had like 2. So we had 10 coaches hit Success Club. We had tons of people on the board. And now, like, what is it, the 4th? I have like 12 coaches on the board on the 4th of the month. And I used to not have that in an entire month. So it all came down from like just really following the tracker and realizing where gaps were, and then like holding each other accountable to it. So we have like a message thread. We're actually doing Danny's prep school that y'all did in January and February, and quickly realized, I think the biggest thing for my coaches was them realizing the stuff that they were tracking themselves and consistently watching themselves not click the same boxes over and over again. Like I have a lot of them that are good in stories, but were never posting on their wall. So like they were never getting that connection. And like when I'm on Instagram, if I go to like the most recent picture and it's like 2 months old, I like don't follow that person, or I might even unfollow them because I'm like, oh, this isn't really an active account. And so we've been doing a lot of like, what does your store look like? You know, do people know that you're a coach? Are you being a weirdo about it? Or do they go to your page and have other things to connect to you with? You know, like, so just kind of like really finding those gaps in what they're talking about and what they're doing and what they're asking for. And so it's finally duplicating and kind of trickling down. We're also doing right now, we just started it today, as opposed to just doing like a coach sneak peek as like a video or as like a info group, we're doing it kind of like a workshop where they have a free workout every day, and then they're doing posts and kind of basic like coach activities to encourage them to already do the things so that hopefully at the end we can be like, see, you did it. And the cool thing with this group, because it's the first one, is I've got prospective coaches in there. I've got people that are customers that are thinking about coaching, and I have people that are coaches that are like discount coaches that are maybe thinking about taking it to that next level. So it's kind of hitting all of those tiers of like team growth. So now we're sitting in a very exciting and I like instant gratification. I like being able to control everything around me and like all of the things like y'all, I have like a spreadsheet of my day during quarantine. Like I have my hours mapped out. It's a little embarrassing, but it's the reality. It's just, you know, I've lived on a bell schedule since I was in 6th grade and now I'm like 35, you know, like I need, that's just how my brain works. And if yours doesn't, that's fine, but you need to find the way that it works for you. And I have to make sure that things are structured. But like we're sitting with an unofficial 4-star because one dropped an emerald. But we also have like 3 other coaches close to diamond. So like seeing as very much like y'all's team, like just seeing where everybody kind of fits into the team, but then having that common vision moving forward together has been really, really big. And then just to make yourself feel good, I shared these at the end too. If you would like to see some nuggets of early posts, yeah, look at that stuff. Got no lights, got DVDs. Like, y'all think it's bad to put your shaker cup on your face? What if you stick some DVDs right next to your face? That's the good stuff. Don't just follow me, join me. That's like my favorite one. So good. Yeah, so these are like, but you know what? They worked. Shockingly, they worked, or they worked on people that are signing up now because they've been watching since those wacky posts. So I just think that you just need to know that, like, taking action, even if it is a little bit questionable, is still going to move you forward. And the worst thing you can do is do nothing with this. But I think that was all I had. Oh yeah, here's how pictures have progressed. So going from that original side by side, the one on the right is my, or what do you call it, 10 rounds transformation or whatever. The picture in the middle, my 5-year-old, I gave him my phone like the last week of 10 rounds. I gave him my phone and I was like, Ashton, come take a picture, because I always make my older son do it. And he was being an idiot and was like moving the phone around and putting it in slow-mo, and like it was looking terrible. I was like, Ashton, I'm going to go get Noah if you can't do this. And he was like, okay. And so like I got him a pose and he hit some weird button and then handed me the phone, and that's what was in it. And I was like, great, thanks. I guess this is some setting in portrait mode. I don't know, but he hit some button and that's literally like, there's no filter on that. That's literally how it came out of my phone. So like, you never know when you're going to get some cool picture that your 5-year-old took by just pushing buttons. But yeah, so track what you're doing and change what you're doing. Making sure that you are, looking at where the shortcomings might be in your business, but then doing something about it, because we can control a lot more about this than we think. There's a lot of things that we assume we have to rely on other people for. And while there definitely is an element of that because it is a team, there is a lot that you can control. And what's the worst that happens? You end up hitting SC60 and you're the only one that does it. Like, it's still going to bring you somewhere. Other people are going to start following, because I mean, even if you figure, if we scraped by with people hitting Success Club in December, and I was hitting SC60 back in July, but now here in April, I've got people finally moving. It takes a little bit of time, but there's just a lot of power in it. I think that's all I had.
That was amazing. I mean, I could pull, I know I have some gems too. Like, God,
there's more where that came from.
Yeah. So good. That was amazing. Your energy is amazing. I love everything that you share. It's so true about tracking. It's often we don't want to track because we don't want to point out the things that we're not doing, because it's easier to tell ourselves, oh, well, I'm engaging with people, or, oh yeah, I'm sending out those invites. But a lot of times we confuse ourselves with being on our phones and actually working. So it's so important. And I loved what Alex shared in the beginning about setting those boundaries of like, when it's time to work, you are working, and when you're not, you're not. And obviously, Jenna, with your schedule, you have to use those time wisely. Like, every time you post your timestamp in the morning, I'm like, I don't know what's going on there. Like, how are you dressed and ready to go at 3:53? Like, I can't with that. Unless I was going to Disneyland, that'd be the only time I would ever be dressed and ready. But
well, I think that was part of it too, is like, with the schedule I had the choice of either, like not making it work, or only working like 30 minutes and doing what I could, or I could get up 30 minutes sooner. And like, so just so you guys know, on a normal school day, obviously it looks different right now. I would wake up at 3:45 and I would get all my invites done at like 4 in the morning while I was drinking my Energize. So I'd be drinking Energize, sending invites at 4 in the morning, work out, do my challenge group, do my posts, my workout clips that look a little better than those pictures you saw. And then I go to school, and it was shocking if I can even check messages at school because the day is so busy. And then I connect at night when I'm like a zombie. But yeah.
Do you guys have questions for her? I would love for you guys to ask some questions. Anybody? Anything?
It totally does suck being at the top alone. I totally agree.
Alex said, what is your favorite PD?
I do tend to gravitate towards podcasts more often than books. For some reason, it has to be a book that really draws me in, because otherwise I'll more likely go to podcasts or go to YouTube. But I love the book Wolfpack by Abby Wambach. If you haven't listened to that one, it's so good. And I've heard that her girlfriend just released a book too, which I'm going to look up. But I really like that one because it really talks about like, you know, leading your pack and the responsibilities that come from being the leader, but also like when you're leading, not from the front necessarily. And that one's really, really short. So I've listened to it more than once. I also really like The Power of Positive Leadership. That was a really good one for school also, because, you know, while I am very direct and very outgoing, I don't like to put people down. It's just my personality. So I like to find ways to be a positive light to people while still pushing them at the same time. So that was a really big one. Podcast wise, I really like the Empower Her podcast that Keisha Fitzgerald has. Sometimes I like Rachel Hollis. Sometimes I'm not interested. Sometimes it's just a little bit too much. Those are probably the biggest ones. Sometimes the Happier podcast by Gretchen Rubin. Those are probably my go-tos.
Kristen says, do you have any plans to leave your teaching job?
That's a good question. Actually, no. Part of it is because it is so a part of who I am, and that is who I connect with. So I think I thought that I would connect with moms. And while I do connect with moms and moms that work, I would say probably 95% of the people that I connect with are teachers, but even more specifically music teachers. So part of me feels like I would lose a big part of my identity if I did not teach anymore. I've been working with the same person for over 10 years. We have a podcast. You don't want to listen to it. It's literally about teaching. But like we have a podcast that has a pretty big following, and that's a very big part of my life. And I've told my husband the only way I would ever consider it is if we got completely debt free. And even then it would still be a hard choice. Now that all being said, given current circumstances, you never know what's going to happen because I don't teach a core subject. And while it's very stable in Texas with music, which it's not in other parts of the country, I am definitely making sure that we have something because we're in the same field. So like that could get tragic real quick if they tell us that we can't have band because we're literally blowing in a room with 60 kids at a time, that's going to be a problem. So it's kind of a relief to know that I have an option if I need it. Because I do make more income disclaimer. I do make more coaching than I do teaching. But I'm continuing to do both because it's my calling, I feel like.
Well, how cool is it that still being a full-time worker, she's literally doubled her income by being both, right? Danielle says, how many invites are you sending out each day?
I would say 20. Definitely after Summit, it was consistently 20. Sometimes it's more. I do put on my tracker 10 because I do have certain days, I do a weekly newsletter to my email list. So that takes more time. So occasionally on a Saturday or Sunday, I might send a little bit less. So 10 is my non-negotiable, but I would say almost every day it's going to be closer to the 15 to 20 realm.
Kayla says, what's your best advice for new coaches who are motivated to work right off the bat?
Oh my gosh, just go. Definitely going to their new or to their friends and family first and just talking to people like normal humans. And even if it is a message that you send to more than one person, as a copy paste, not making it sound like it is one. I think sometimes we really overcomplicate the invite. So when you're talking to somebody that you already have a relationship with, and I'm not even talking about acquaintances. I'm talking you're going to your good friends, your family. I think just having true vision behind why you're doing this. You can be a brand new coach and still say, I'm really excited about this. This means a lot to me. I would really love to see where this goes. And if you could help me start this, I would appreciate it so much. And having those little things. Then when it comes into that warm market people, just being able to say, if you're really clear in your stories about what you're doing, I think having a pretty short invite is easy. My feed is very mixed, like maybe more so than it necessarily, like I have a lot of lifestyle in there. Like I'll share a lot about band. I'll share on Facebook. I share a lot of like stupid stuff, like because people laugh about it. Like there's a great video of my son that I posted earlier today. The like just like weird stuff that I post, but my whole goal behind anything I post on my feed on Facebook or Instagram is to get them in my stories. And then when they're in my stories, I am aggressive about what I'm doing. Like I am not going to hide it. I am very clear. There is an invite every single day. Every single day you will see what time I woke up with my Energize. You will see my workout clips. You will see an invite. You will see recognition every single day. Now, what I'm inviting to might be a little bit different, but it is not going to be there. And that's because that's what I invite off of the next day. Like it has to be there so I can do invites. But like my thing with that too is, you know, you're watching my feed. I'm getting you into my stories. Once you're in my stories, you freaking walked into my house. Like you're watching my family in my house. So I'm going to ask you if you want to do this with me. And if you don't want to do this, get out of my house. Like that's weird. But it's true. Like you're coming into my house, you're seeing my bedroom, you're seeing my kitchen. If you do it once, okay, fine. But if you're coming back every single day into my house, I'm going to ask you, and you can't get mad about it. Because if you're going to get mad about it, stop watching. It's weird. So don't you all think like if they're going to keep coming back, like they're kind of asking for it. Just saying.
Alex says, what do your weekly newsletters consist of?
So I do a recipe. So like from Fixate, typically I'm a Fixate person, like a UPF person. So typically a Fixate recipe, but I try to find one that has the 2B, like what it counts for also. I try to do some kind of like fitness or motivation tip. And then there's like invites in there. So it'll have the, and I use Constant Contact. Because I kind of like that they can unsubscribe without telling me they want to unsubscribe. And then it doesn't like hurt my feelings. And then like you want it, you can have it. So it'll have the recipe, it'll have a healthy tip. It will have like the next group that's coming up in there. It will have like an invite to coaching. I always link our like accountability, like I have an ongoing Facebook group for everybody. So that's always linked in there. A coach sneak peek is always linked in there with old videos, even just if they get curious. And like right now it hasn't worked yet, but I did add in there a Google form that they can fill out if they need help, because sometimes people like don't reach out necessarily, even though you tell them to. So I've tried to be like, you can message me, you can email me, and here's a Google form you can fill out if you have a question. So just basically those things. And there's also a little blurb on the bottom that just says who I am, where it's like, hey, like for leads, like if you are getting this, you've been assigned to me, I'm your coach, which I also contact leads also, but you know, you never know what the email is going to be that they actually open up. I did send like a special one right after Super Weekend this last time that literally just announced the new stuff that's coming out to get them excited about it. And then right before BOD groups, I sent one out that was very specific about go screenshot anything that you have in my challenge tracker because it's going away. Make sure you're in our Facebook group. Make sure that I made everybody actually formally request to go into the BOD group so that I was only getting people that were like interested instead of dragging people that have been around for 4 years and never log anything. Though now nobody logs anything because it doesn't always work. But you know, the thought was there. So just kind of stuff like that.
Maya says, do you invite to only coaching?
No, if we're honest, I probably invite more to challenge groups than I do to coaching. And that's something that I need to work on, but I feel really confident in converting customers to coaches. I feel like once they get into and this is just a personal thing for me, but I feel like once I get them into our groups and into our community, and then they see that next level of the coaches interacting with each other within the community, that and get them to love Shakeology and the products, that switching them over to a coach is going to be easier because they already know. Now I'm trying to get a little bit better about the business side of things, but also because of the type of person that I attract, I feel like it's a lot harder to encourage them to run into a business right away, because a lot of them are teachers that aren't necessarily unhappy in what they're doing, except for right now teaching from a computer. So I feel like I do a better job of switching them over.
Okay, I think that was it for the questions. That was so amazing. You're amazing. I love you. Thank you for staying up late for us. Not that you have to be anywhere early tomorrow, but
I don't have class until 11.
I appreciate you so much for sharing all that. I am rooting you guys on. I know that you're going to hit that 5-star qual, and Elite is in the bag for you guys this year. I'm so excited for you. You guys should all go check her out, see how she does things on social media. She is hilarious. Her dog is the cutest. Her kids are the cutest.
Yeah.
She's awesome. So
yeah, in fact, my dog has no eyes. Like, I'm not kidding you. We had to have them removed last summer. So she's adorable, and like, it's not as scary as you think, but yeah, she has no eyes. So just so you know.
It's true. Okay, let's stop.